The following is a presentation of Marysville Exempted Village Schools.
All right, I'd like to welcome you all to our July 13th, 2020 special meeting of the Marysville Board of Education. Can we have the roll call, please?
Mr. Luke? Here. Ms. Savage?
Here.
Ms. Powers?
Here.
Mr. Smith? Here. Ms. Devine?
Here. First item on our agenda tonight is an MOU. Need a motion to approve the MOU resolution to adopt a change to the 2021 school calendar due to COVID-19.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Powers.
Second.
Second by Mr. Smith.
So we talked to the union leadership about the possibility of starting school a few days later for students in order for us to have an entire week with staff. We believe and anticipate several things that need to take place, like PD on how to clean rooms, how we're going to rotate from room to room, those type of procedural things, as well as doing a robust PD session on remote learning. Part of our plan will involve being able to turn on a dime that we talked about last time. And so if we were to switch, or if we were to go into some type of hybrid model, that we would already have some of those pieces set up. So the design is really, we'll be working with the teacher committee to formulate what those 5 days will look like. And the idea would be to do the PD and allow them time that same day to work on whatever it is with support. So if we did something like on class pages, for example, then teachers would be able to go to work on that right on the spot and try it. And then if they had problems, we'd have support people there to help them. So we would be using those 5 days, and then students will come the following Monday. Now, the hope was, the earlier we can, I know Thursday to Monday isn't a whole lot of difference in time, but the hope really was to get that communication out as soon as possible. That's why it's on tonight's agenda.
Okay. And then I was thinking we had talked about some additional PD maybe around the social and racial justice.
Yep, so I had, just in general, 2 things I was gonna update on. Do you want me to do that now or after this?
Okay, we can vote on that, and then you can update us on
Okay.
that. Sure. Any questions about this MOU?
Well, the professional development and the remote learning and so forth, we did some surveys in the spring. Is that part of what's driving?
Right, if you remember, we talked a little bit about things, for example, like consistency. Parents gave us feedback, like it works pretty well, but I had a student at the middle school and I had to find it seven different ways, like teachers posted it. And so that would be one way of trying to help. It's also, it has a new tool in teacher pages that we want to really maximize with staff, and that if I build something within that tool, it has shareability to another staff member. So if I'm teaching 3rd grade in Northwood and I build a decimal unit, I could share it with every 3rd grade teacher, or I could share with a 6th grade teacher who might have a kid at that level or whatever. So we're going to take advantage of that time in order to make that system a little more robust based on what parents have told us.
Yeah, I want to just make a comment that I really appreciate the efforts of you and the administrators and IT and teachers and so forth to try to really incorporate a lot of the information that we got from parents and we got from the students this past spring with all the surveys and so forth that were done. I really appreciated and liked the idea of going out and asking, what are we doing right? What are the things that we can improve? What sort of problems and issues did you have? And I think this is an example of how the district is responding to try and answer some of those questions. And I recognize it's not going to be perfect. There's still going to be a learning curve.
Sure.
But I really think that a delay of a few days and focusing the teachers and getting them the time that they need to organize is critical. I don't think that this is a step that we can miss in getting ready to try and open.
I agree, and it won't be just teachers. We also see bus drivers are gonna have new procedures, and going over things like, face masks are gonna need to be worn on the bus. So how are we going to work with kids who don't have a face mask and try to, so really it's something we envision the whole staff being engaged in some way, shape or form. Whether you're a cafeteria worker, there's gonna be new procedures in the cafeteria, or a teacher, or bus driver, maintenance, that all of those would, there will be something for everyone.
Right. I'm guessing at some point there will need to be talk about volunteers as well. You know, I mean.
Yeah, so at this
Just made me think
point,
about
yeah,
that,
I think
yeah.
most of the recommendations are no volunteers,
Yeah,
in the school
Right.
buildings right now.
right,
So,
which makes sense.
So would this also be the time that they would be putting together material for people that are choosing to keep their kids at home and go full online?
yes, it could be, yep. Depending on, and we'll go over that a little bit, we hope to have some teachers designated just to that digital platform for, like if I choose to keep my kid home for the semester, to some teachers to be regulars, I guess, in that.
Yep,
So that teachers aren't teaching in the classroom and trying to keep up with the remote. So yes, they would be building classes, they might be, let's say I'm a 4th grade teacher and I haven't really done 5th grade before, I might be reaching out to some 5th grade teachers or the instructional coach at that level and saying, who can I talk to, where can I get materials? So it'll really allow us to have, some planning time to be a little bit ahead
right.
of the curve.
I know that parents are probably interested in what online learning, full-time online learning would look like.
Sure.
So
I hope Thursday we're gonna be able to show you if we go, as a district, if we go to, well, not I hope, it's one of the slides in the presentation, but if as a district or a building goes full remote learning, we do plan on keeping a schedule. Last time it was kind of open-ended.
Right.
I think we did a pretty good job for what we had, but this time, especially 6 through 12, we've kind of slated out an example, sample schedule for you to see. So like from 9 to 9:25 might be period 1, 9:30. So kids are logging in every day, and that's the way we would take attendance and be able to touch base more regularly than we did last spring.
Right.
Elementary, we're still working on exactly what that will look like because they're a little bit different, but we'll be able to maybe answer those questions a little better Thursday.
Now, the attendance, that's kind of a question about, with all the changes in state laws now, I imagine that the typical attendance policy isn't in effect for this next year?
Correct. They're creating flexible options for us.
Okay.
And they kind of did that last spring as well.
Any other comments, questions? All right, roll call?
Ms. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes,
Mr. Luke?
Yes.
Ms. Savage?
Yes,
Ms. Devine?
Yes, motion carries. And then you just wanted a little.
Yeah, just on a
update
couple
here, sure.
things. So first of all, I was asked, tomorrow I'll be setting in on a session with Lieutenant Governor Houston to talk about some demands on superintendents and schools coming into next school year. So pretty excited to be a part of that conversation. I'll give you an update maybe Thursday on how that conversation unfolded. We had our task force for the restart to school last week. We have another meeting tomorrow night where we hope to kind of refine and really kind of poke holes at our plan. Remember their major focus was on creating a hybrid schedule. Secondary to that, the homework for me was to talk to people about face masks between last week and this week, as we know that is a hot topic. So just appreciative of their time spent on that as well. And then I also talked to Ken Chapin to start a task force on equity and social justice to kick off the school year. So he'll be returning from vacation this week and starting to gather some staff. We've had a few staff already interested, so we'll be working with them to kind of spearhead that and set up professional development that shouldn't just be those 5 days, but ongoing discussions throughout the school year about, and book studies and things like that that we've kind of kicked around. So that, stay tuned for that as we start to gear up for next year as well.
Okay. Yeah, because I know we got an email from from one of the students at the early
Mhm.
college high school who invited us to a march on July 19th.
Yep.
And so just wanted to share that with the board. And I was also approached by someone else just kind of asking, saying, hey, some school boards actually passed resolutions about racial and social injustice or equity, things like that, and wondered if we were considering the resolution. And I let them know that we had started our meeting last month with that statement, with that joint community statement, and that I would definitely talk to the board, but it was kind of my feeling from conversations that we're more interested in action than just passing a resolution, and so I think that task force is a great start, and as we're looking at curriculum, things like that, kind of paying attention to and supplementing with some additional material so that we're really doing the best we can as educators to help our kids understand the importance of respecting everybody. So unless anybody feels differently that they want to try and draft a resolution or anything.
No, I would like to see, as you said, I'd like to see some action on this topic. I know that, there's a debate about trying to change the past and history and so forth. And being a social studies teacher, there's just a lot of history. And some of the controversies to me, is looking at and where do what kind of focus do you put on things? And understand that rather than limiting history or reducing, we need to increase. We need to tell more of the story. We need to tell both sides or all sides of the story, because there's not necessarily just this and that.
Yeah, great.
There's a multiplicity of positions.
And I think if you erase history, history will repeat itself.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know there's a lot of controversy about statues and that kind of thing. And you need to look at the statue, why it was put up, what it's doing, whether it's appropriate in its location, is it appropriate in, is there more to the story about this person? Is there more to the story that needs to be told? And I think it speaks again to the inclusiveness that the history of a lot of different groups and individuals have not been told. I know that in our focus on personalized learning, we need to offer opportunities for students to be able to explore a lot of the different individuals, be able to pick and choose, how in depth they want to get on some of these subjects, but they should be exposed to a much broader range of historical perspectives than maybe what we've been doing. That's one of the reasons why I really like our global studies program, because it opens up the eyes of our students to all of the richness that exists in a variety of cultures that inhabit this earth, that we as people are very similar in how we live, what we want, what our goals and objectives are. We may have different ways of trying to approach those, and our our, our religions, our cultures, our own individual histories and art and music and so forth, offer a wonderful kaleidoscope for people to be able to say.
Okay, good, thank you for those updates. And now I would accept a motion to go into executive session to consider the compensation of a public employee.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Powers, second.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Savage. Roll call.
Ms. Powers?
Yes.
Ms. Savage?
Yes.
Mr. Luke? Yes. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Devine?
Yes, motion carries, and we're in executive session at 5:15.